Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd never sugarcoats it. Does he tell it straight? You bet. Does he deliver with a sense of humor? Always.
I always start my Sunday mornings off listening to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. It has tons of information, and he has such a great sense of humor.
My friends and I always tune in to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Hold on tight. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting once again in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green nutrient field, pure Michigan, baby, from the Black Diamond Mothership. And Craig Russell from the Morning Hustle is in studio with me. Beautiful day, beautiful morning, beautiful, just beautiful.
Spring has sprung in Michigan where we are right now. It's a beautiful. Spring has sprung across the whole country. Let's not kid ourselves. But I was on my way into the studio this morning. I noticed the green leaves on the trees. Everyone has a different attitude about them in spring and summer. It just is different.
I know that spring is here when I walk out my front door early in the morning, right into a cobweb.
Oh, yeah.
From all the spiders from the night before that just spun a web like Charlotte's Web and caught all the mosquitoes and the bugs. I don't kill spiders. Spiders, every bug has a purpose. So I let them live and kill the mosquitoes so that I don't get bit as often as I do.
You know, I'll agree with you that every bug has a purpose, but I believe that there's enough bugs to reproduce after the bug that I kill to take care of that purpose. So I have no problem killing bugs, especially when there's big ones in my house.
I've been at war with a colony of ants in my house.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
they found a way into the bathrooms.
Ooh, that's not good.
Well, I finally defeated the ant colony.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, we are a law show. I'm attorney Todd L. Levitt, and we have a huge show.
Big show. Lots of stuff to talk about.
We're going to be talking about, I feel, something that the listeners have to look out for.
Something the listeners have to look out for.
In regards to
scam or something?
It's not a scam.
Okay.
But it's misleading as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And I had to take a look at it, read the fine print, and I want to bring it to the attention of the listeners because it's pretty clever.
All right.
So we're going to be talking about that.
Okay.
Vermont is
home of teddy bears and maple syrup.
Yeah. And ice cream.
And weed.
Yeah, but ice cream.
And ice cream.
Yeah. But Vermont has become the first state to permit drug imports from Canada.
Ooh.
So we're going to talk about that.
That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have an advisory bulletin from Lara.
Okay.
Which is in the state of Michigan, Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. I've received a dozen or more emails and phone calls in regards to this. And it's in regard to, CBDs, industrial hemp products. Where does it fall under the definition of the Medical Marijuana Act and the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act? So we're going to talk about that. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And, of course, maybe in your part of the country it isn't. We've got listeners not only all over the United States but all over the world. You podcast with us. iTunes, SoundCloud,
Yeah, Spotify.
We're on. What else are we on?
Libsyn.
We're on Libsyn, Google Play. We're on all those platforms. You can find us. It's really easy to find. And maybe you're in a place like India or China or Sweden where we have a lot of listeners, or Canada for sure.
We have Canada, Alberta.
Yep.
We have them in Ontario. A lot of listeners in California, Arizona, Vegas, Florida, Ohio, Illinois, and South Dakota. I want to say hi to our buddy in South Dakota who listens to the show. We have a story about John Boehner, who was the ex-Republican speaker. He joined a marijuana firm.
Yeah, he's actually thinks we should.
It's a great story.
Thinks we should change the laws in this country, which I think the time is coming. I think it's going to happen sooner than later.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And how to buy cannabis in a recreational state. How do you? I'm a defense attorney. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I say it every week. I'm not soliciting, but I am a criminal defense attorney, and I do practice law. By the way, some people think, do you just do a radio show or just a podcast? No, I've been practicing for more than 24 years. I'm a trial attorney. The first 12 years in Metro Detroit before I relocated to the middle of the Mitten, and I do have an office in St. Ignace and practice all over the state of Michigan. And we are now taking cases for automobile, motorcycle, boat accidents. So if you know somebody out there who's is injured, call our office. We'll direct you in the right direction.
989-772-6000. Todd Levitt.
But before
they're going to call you. They got to know the number.
Right. But before we get to all those stories, I want to talk about people that smoke cigarettes.
Okay.
People that smoke cigarettes.
All right.
You don't smoke.
I do not. Never have.
I don't smoke. But I know I have family members that smoke.
Same here.
I've been around a lot of smokers in my day.
Sure.
The other day, I was walking into a building, into a courthouse.
Okay.
And there was a group of workers who work in a courthouse who were completely on the back end of this courthouse in a corner outside that was designated as a smoking area.
Okay.
And I felt I took a look at them and said, wow, talk about shaming a group of people who, independently of their own free will choose to participate in something, and look where they're shunned. I mean, I felt so bad that they were just, placed in this position away from everyone that I went up to them and said, look, I don't smoke and I don't really care for secondhand smoke, but I feel that you're being discriminated against somewhat by being placed all the way out here. I'm going to hang out with you. So, and then someone offered me a cigarette. I said, nah, save it for somebody else. How do you feel about that?
I know exactly what you're saying, because not everyone has rights. And if you choose to do that, you have the right to do it. Now, granted, society these days, especially in the last 20 years, has made it much harder for you to do it. And of course, we know all about the health issues that smoking has. But again,
there's health issues with walking out the front door.
That's true.
There's health issues with being caught in a storm. Widowmakers are going to fall on you.
There are a very few places.
Those are branches.
I do. Yes, I do. There are very few. And it's also, isn't that also like a blocked artery in a widowmaker?
Yeah, that is too.
There are very few places left in this world. And in Michigan, one of the few places indoors that you can still smoke is a casino. Now, that's not the same everywhere else. You go to casinos in Ohio, there's no smoking allowed. They've got smoking sections, which are usually outdoor covered areas with some slots that you can smoke in.
Now, as far as smoking in casinos, I do have to admit, as a non-smoker, when I go into a casino, I can't stay that long. It forces me to leave, and then I smell like smoke. My clothes, my skin, I have to go home and take a shower. And these casinos do what they can to filter the smoke.
And they do a really good job. They do it way better than they ever used
but
to.
there could be a much better job. But I feel for the smokers out there.
Yep.
I just want to say that. But here's the other thing. When you could smoke in restaurants, so I would be sitting next to a table of smokers, and one of the smokers would have the cigarette leaning over their chair as if not to annoy the person or with that's a non-smoker. But in the meantime, it's hitting my nostrils, my noggin, and I would say something. But I just felt bad for the group of smokers, all the smokers out there. The Todd Levitt Law Show featuring my handsome and talented co-host Craig Russell. We support you.
Non-smoker as I am. But
I'm a non-smoker too.
I totally understand. Yeah. Everyone has rights.
By the way, I saved a turtle last week.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Didn't I text you?
You did text me. You said, hey, I just saved a big turtle. And I'm like, well, I want to see it. And you never sent it to me.
Because look, I don't recommend anybody just stop in the middle of traffic and get out and save an animal. I'm always driving these backcountry roads, either on a bike shredding, some dirt tracks, or in my truck on the way to a court or going somewhere.
Okay.
We live in the middle of the state or country. So I always make sure that I'm safe, that oncoming cars are safe, and I saved the turtle. It was a big one, too. It was the size of a basketball.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I had a cardboard box in my truck. I'm not going to just pick it up. So I saved a turtle, and then I saved a snake 2 days ago on a single track up in Grayling. I was biking Hanson Hills up in Grayling.
Okay.
The home of Jordan Wakely.
Right.
I call Hanson Hills the home that Wakely built.
Okay. That
Love
makes
Jordan.
sense.
Jordan
Yep.
Wakely, great shredder.
Yep.
Canoeer, just all around great guy. His dad, Todd Wakely, one of my best friends. Big shout out.
Sure.
But I saved a snake.
You didn't have to save a snake.
Yes, I did.
You didn't have to.
It had every right to live as
Turtle?
you and I did.
Turtle?
Wait,
Go ahead.
Is a snake not a living creature?
Yes, a snake is a living creature. He does deserve to live,
Yeah.
but you could have gone ahead and.
Yeah.
Hey, I wasn't paying attention. Did you say that turtle was crossing the road and you saved it?
It was.
It was. What happens if you run over a turtle like that in a car?
Okay, can we?
What I mean,
all
does
right,
that?
Let me tell you something. I tried to avoid a turtle once, and that happened. Therefore, I will always stop and try to save a turtle. I
Good.
didn't know it was a turtle. It's just. Look, I love to hunt. We hunt. We eat what we kill. But when it comes to these living creatures that are not in that capacity,
Right.
I try
Nobody's
to
hunting
save
turtles.
them.
Nobody's hunting
Yeah,
turtles.
well, people do eat turtle.
Yeah.
You ever have turtle soup?
Never.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to look. We're gonna take you. I had a buddy of mine. May he rest in peace. He used to hold game nights. Once a month, he would hold a game night where
Okay.
he would have a chef come in and cook different game. So I've had turtle soup.
Oh, that kind of a game now. I thought you were
Yeah.
thinking like playing pinochle.
No, not
cards
at
or
all.
something. Game is in making game. I got you. Okay.
Hey, we are a law show, by
Yeah,
the way,
yeah.
and we're broadcasting all over the universe. I've got something that I'm just not happy about here in my hand
Okay.
that I want to bring to the listeners' attention.
We have to take a break, but first, though, I want to tell you, I saw a story, some zoo, and I want to say it was maybe in Cincinnati or someplace like that. They rescued, are you ready for this, 11,000 baby turtles and are going to be putting them back in the world and going to be saving some of them for the zoo. But they had like this glass enclosure, and it was just covered in these little baby turtles. Somewhere they got these baby turtles. I don't know where they were. Maybe they were raising them illegally or something, or poaching them or something. But I saw that, and you're talking your turtle story made me think of these turtles. It's like maybe we should be playing Happy Together by the Turtles right now.
I do like the turtles.
Yeah, the turtles.
Yeah, I do like the turtles.
Yeah.
Hey, we have to go to break.
Yes, we do. But
So
when we come back,
so here's what I have with me when we come back.
It's not a scam.
No.
Okay.
I receive this each year in the mail, and it says directory listing order form.
Okay.
And it's from the yellow pages, and it says clearly, how big does that say this is not a bill?
It says pretty clearly this is not a bill.
And it's asking you to check one, list as shown or list with changes. And it says this is not a bill.
Okay.
And they want you to sign it and send it back.
All right. We'll
After
talk-
the break, I'm going to tell the listeners what the problem is with this is not a bill when we come back from break. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Craig Russell, who'd we come back? We opened the show, and who'd we come back with?
Feel good, as in Dr. Feel Good. Motley Crue.
Now, before break,
Yes.
we were talking about this order form I received in the mail.
A solicitation, if it is. If you
Well, it's so look, I used to advertise in the Yellow Pages.
Sure.
I love the online Yellow Pages and I use it. And I'm for business and enterprise.
Right.
But when I looked at this, literally it says this is not a bill to be included. Please return immediately, and it's asking you to check one of the two boxes: list as shown or list with changes, and then sign it.
And this is from the Yellow Pages to get you to be a part of the directory.
No,
correct?
they're asking you. My listing is in there. There's my name in there.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to be listed as.
Right.
You know, Levitt Law Firm PC, attorney Todd L. Levitt. But as I'm reading the small print on the back, okay, there's an indication at very small print, and let me read it to you.
All right.
That says the current listing fee is $3.96 charged every 6 months for one listing. And in the beginning it says, the very first line, this is not an invoice. This is a solicitation to order a listing in an online Yellow Page directory published online. Again, it says this is not an invoice. So if this is not an invoice, it doesn't say I owe anything, correct?
Right.
But it says this is not a bill. In the largest letters on this document,
Yes.
says this is not a bill. Most people don't read the fine print, so they would just think, okay, this is not a bill. It's a free listing. I'm going to check this off, send in my signature, and it's a free listing. Correct?
Now, correct. Now let me ask
No,
you,
that's not true.
Let me ask you two questions.
What's going to happen is you're going to sign this, check the box, and you're going to get a bill every 6 months for $396.
Those were two of the things I wanted to ask you. You said for $3.96, I'm thinking $3.96? $396. That's a big difference.
It's a lot of Benjamins.
Second place, I was going to ask you, how are they going to charge you for this if they don't have any of your
They're going to
information?
send you an
They
have my address. They sent that
But
to
I'm
me.
saying they don't have like a credit card or anything like that. They're going to send you a bill.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if you don't
Let
pay
me tell you what happened.
Okay.
3 or 4 years ago, I did this. I just said, okay, that's my listing. I signed it, sent it in. I received a bill.
For $396.
Oh, yeah. You want to know what happened?
Sued them?
You know what I do for a living, right?
You're an attorney.
Well, I'm not going to sue someone for $396.
No, you sue them for $10,000.
No, I called the president and the board of this company. I don't screw around with customer service people.
No.
I went direct to the top, and I left a message that I'm an attorney. Trust me. Somebody got back with me, a lawyer for the company. They released me from the obligation.
They waived you from the charges.
They waived me from the charges.
Where does this company? I mean,
I support the Yellow Pages. I'm a fan.
But you know what is?
But I was not happy, and when I received that again, I took a notice of it. But here's the thing. You know, it's not a bad idea. It's a good idea. If you want to advertise in the Yellow Pages online, here's the thing. It's going to provide you with more search engine optimization. It's not a bad idea. It's a good thing.
No, but
And they've been around a long time. So that's all I want to say about the Yellow Pages online.
And of course, they've got the little fingers do the walking phone thing. Now, mind you, if you look at this, and you, of course, being an attorney, what is one thing that logo is missing? Tell me what's not a part of that logo. Look at it. You can even look at a bigger version of it on the back. Back has a much bigger version. What is not part of that logo?
A trademark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anybody can use that.
Exactly.
That could be anybody. Any
There's not even a circle with
an R registered trademark. There's
right.
not a. It's just that
right.
fingers do the walking is in the public domain.
There's not even a TM
Nope.
that says it's pending, that it's going to be a registered trademark.
Nope. That is just anybody can use that.
I'm not so sure that image is in the public domain.
Well, but
I'm not going on a radio and podcast and say that.
Well, I'll say I think it is because it doesn't have they're using it. This company could be.
I've got a buddy of mine, Dave Kate.
Okay.
He's a patent trademark attorney.
Okay.
We'll have to have Kate on the show.
Yes, we will.
Kate's a good buddy of mine. He shreds hard. He rides the Vasa Trail up in Traverse City. Hey, Kate, if you're listening to the show, we want you to look this up. Check that out.
I just wonder if it's the Yellow Pages, because I think the Yellow Pages has a trademark on that. That might not even be the actual logo that is really part of the Yellow Pages. And of course, I would say, hey, get your phone book and let's take a look. But who has a phone book anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
I'm not, again,
not knocking it.
This
but
company, it's a good company. I'm not knocking the company, and it will provide you some search engine optimization, and I'll just give it out. Check it out. But again,
much like video stores, there's some things that have just gone out.
This is not a bill. It kind of throws you off.
And it says right down here at the bottom, this is a solicitation for an order of goods or services. It is not a bill, invoice, or statement account. Yeah, I don't know, but that seems kind of shady. Seems kind of shady if they've got to hide the stuff in there. You're going to be charged $396.
Do you know what a bud tender is, by the way?
A bud tender?
Yeah, what's a bud tender to you?
I would think a bud tender is someone who tends Budweiser beer.
No, not even close.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
I mean, maybe in their second job.
Instead of a beer tender, you're a bud tender?
What do you think is a bud tender?
I would think, knowing you and knowing what you talk about, it's probably somebody who has something to do with marijuana buds.
That's correct.
Be my guess.
That's correct. A bud tender is somebody that works in a dispensary.
Oh, okay.
And he or she is knowledgeable. And if you're a first-time purchaser, or let's say you're from out of state,
okay,
and you come into a state in which there's, you can buy cannabis and it's a recreational state.
Right. California, Colorado,
exactly.
Nevada.
So the first thing is, you want to have to be 21 years of age.
Sure.
And you should have valid identification to be able to purchase the cannabis in any state that is legalized.
Much like if you walked into a bar and you wanted to purchase a drink, you would need to show your ID to prove you are who you are and you're over 21.
But thank goodness, in all these states where it is recreational, there's so many different options. There's so many different locations. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you take your time and read the reviews and explore each of these shops.
Okay.
And a lot of them hire bud tenders who are men and women who are very knowledgeable and will be able to help you with the different products and how to navigate through the process. That's what a bud tender is.
Now, here's my question.
But you need to learn the cannabis basics before you go to these shops. So do your homework. But again, you can go in and trust that bud tender will make a good recommendation for you.
We were just talking.
That might be a good job for you. Craig Russell, the bud tender.
I don't know anything about it, though. But
yes, you do.
No.
You know everything about it. Look where you're broadcasting from.
I understand. That's a different story altogether. I wonder, we were talking about online searches with yellow pages and stuff like that. I wonder if in states, like if you go on online yellow pages, like in Nevada, if it has marijuana dispensary stores listed on their listings, and you can call them up and ask questions if you need to. That's the beautiful thing about the internet these days. You can do a lot of searching. If you want to know questions about the cannabis store you're going into, say in California or Colorado or a place where it is legal or recreational, you can find out information online about etiquette and about questions to ask and places to go.
Well, the great thing about these dispensaries, each one has its own atmosphere, its own staff. So do your research, explore. Don't just walk in and purchase something because it's the first one you walked into. Shop around.
I would think
that's what I'm here to say.
Like with anybody.
Yeah.
You don't walk into the first car dealer you see along the side of the road and say, I'm going to buy a car, and you purchase the first one. Most people go online, look around at some things, maybe ask a friend or somebody. If you're going to go to one of these, or you say you live in one of these states, or you're going to one of these states where you can buy recreational, and that is something you can do. If you, Todd Levitt, who live in Michigan, you traveled to California, you could go to a dispensary and you could legally buy marijuana if you chose to do so, correct?
But you cannot take it back with you. You cannot transport it. We've talked about this.
Right.
You cannot cross state lines with it.
Yep.
It has to stay in that state. Now, here's the thing. Here's an example. When we were growing up in Metro Detroit, the drinking age was not 21.
No.
You could go to Windsor when you were 19 and drink.
Sure.
Okay?
But you couldn't bring it back with
But here's the thing. When it went up to 21, you could still drink at 19 in Windsor. But if you went over to Windsor, which we did, because if you're unfamiliar with where Michigan's located, because we have listeners all over the world and country,
right?
When you grew up in Detroit, the Windsor Tunnel or the bridge, Ambassador Bridge, was only 20 minutes from where we lived. So you're heading over there when you're 15.
Yep.
And also the beautiful Canadian women. They're so kind. They're lovely. French Canadian. Don't get me started, okay?
I'm not
Just don't get me started.
Started.
But in any event, my point is,
they're looking for chums.
It may be legal in Canada, but if you're coming back to the States, often you would find yourself or your friends charged with, if you got stopped or you're walking around on the street, with minor possession or consumption of alcohol.
Sure.
Because it might be legal over there, but it's not legal here. There's my example.
You go across,
and do not drink and drive, by the way.
For starters.
I mean, I do represent individuals who are caught drinking and driving all over, the northern and upper peninsula state of Michigan. It's something I do often. But we always recommend get a sober driver.
Sure. But if you come across that bridge, you're going to get questioned by who? Border Authority for the United States.
Exactly.
And if they notice you have been drinking or are trying to transport alcoholic beverages or something like that, they have a phone and they can call the police.
First off,
or they can arrest you right
there. The men and women at the border do such a great job.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Hands down, I had friends that worked at some of these crossings in Detroit. A hard job.
Yeah.
There are thousands of young men and women who are going back and forth during bar nights, going to Canada, Ontario, back to Detroit. Okay? They know that these young people have been drinking.
Sure.
But I would say that if they truly saw somebody as a driver that was zoned out, they'll do something about it.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I know that for a fact.
I would imagine.
But for the most part, they're letting people come and go. I'm not saying they're breaking the law, but it's the economy.
Oh, yeah.
Think about
They
it.
got to do that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And especially going into Canada, they don't really have a big deal about you going into Canada because you're going into Canada.
By the way, if you have a conviction, a criminal conviction in the United States, you can knock it into Canada. It's not that easy. You have to wait one until you're rehabilitated, or two, there's something called a TRP, or a temporary resident permit.
Okay.
We have a buddy who was on the show, David Rosenblatt, great immigration lawyer out of Toronto, Canada. So if anybody in the United States is listening, you want to enter into Canada, give my buddy David Rosenblatt up in Toronto a call.
But there's the other part of it. And if you've had a DUI in the United States, we gave away last year on the radio station, we gave away a trip to Ontario to do a bear hunt. And one of the guys who entered the contest was like, I had a DUI in like 1979. Can I get into Canada to do this? And we're like, nope, you can't.
Well, yes, he could.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
There's things you can do. Now, after 5 years, there's things you can do. After 10 years, you're considered rehabilitated.
Oh, really?
Any listeners out there, I'm going to recommend that you go online and Google the Canadian consulate. All the information you need to get back into Canada is located on the Canadian consulate website. There's some free information. We're a law show. Mm-hmm. How many of you knew that information?
I didn't.
Yeah.
How many law shows are giving away free law information?
Yeah. How many of the states in the United States are permitting drugs to be imported from Canada?
One.
Vermont.
We'll talk about it after we take a break.
How do you like that tee shot there?
That's nice.
I know. I saw you looking at the time.
You're setting it up. Way to go. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, coming back strong with Motley Crue.
Dr. Feelgood.
Anyhow, kudos to Vermont, by the way.
Why is that? Why are we kudosing to Vermont?
A week ago, Vermont governor, Republican governor, Phil Scott, signed legislation making his state the first to legalize importing prescription drugs from Canada.
Really?
Absolutely.
Like drugs, like
absolutely
like prescription. So, because as we all know, drugs in this country cost a lot of money. Prescription drugs are really expensive, and in places like Canada, they're much cheaper. That's why a lot of people will buy them from Canadian pharmacies and websites.
There have been other drug importation legislation in other states. I did some research.
Okay.
They stalled.
Okay.
And the current administration, Trump administration, is trying to work on regulating pharmaceutical companies.
Good.
Prescriptions for most people are just high.
Exorbitantly high.
And then the bill for Vermont was drafted by the National Academy for State Health Policy, which is actually a nonpartisan group.
Now, why do you think it went through in Vermont?
Because of Vermont's it's a Republican governor,
okay,
but it's a very progressive state
when it comes to things like prescription drugs.
Yeah, and they border Canada.
That was the other part.
We go shredding at Killington, Vermont. Stowe, Killington. We love to shred the gnar on our boards, Burton boards. We go there every year. And as you're heading from Albany up towards Vermont, you're going through New York, up heading north, you'll see a sign that says Montreal.
Right.
I'm not saying that right. How do they say it in Canada?
Montreal.
Yes. But so they border Canada.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if more states that border Canada, maybe like the one we're sitting in, could now this could set a precedent, and they could all enact legislation to import drugs from our neighbors to the north, so we can get a break on that. Who deserves a break on drug prices more than people in Michigan? Maybe the people in Minnesota or Wisconsin.
I have a question for you. I have a trivia. I have a U.S.-Canada trivia question for you.
I love trivia questions.
We're in the mitten state, the state of Michigan. We call it a mitten. Why?
Why is it called? Because it looks like a mitten. When you look at it, if you pull out your right hand and you look at your palm, that's the state of Michigan. If you don't live here, maybe you're listening on podcasts in California or listening in Israel or wherever you listen to the podcast at, that's what the state of Michigan looks like. It looks like the palm of your hand, a mitten. So
how many border crossings connect the great state of Michigan with Canada?
3.
Name them.
Sault Ste. Marie.
Yep.
Port Huron, Sarnia.
You got it.
Windsor.
You got it. Congratulations, Greg Russell from the Morning Hustle.
Gee,
by the way,
maybe I've lived in the state for 48 years, maybe.
By the way, we were supposed to have a veterinarian on the show today.
Yeah, that's right. What happened?
Well, that's why I never announced who it was, because they have emergencies.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
This great doctor, I'm not going to say his name, but we wish his family all the best.
Yes, we do, exactly.
So kudos to Vermont. Here's the thing I was thinking about while I was biking. When I bike, I don't normally think about too much other than what I'm doing at the moment.
Sure.
Because it's dangerous.
I've seen you on some of those videos you posted up on your YouTube channel. You're biking, and it's maybe 2 inches, those trails. And I'm like, my God, how do you not crash going 60 miles an hour in those bikes?
You have to have confidence in your equipment. You have to know your equipment. That goes with any sport, whether you're fishing, NASCAR. I have a buddy of mine, Tim, who works at the post office, and he races motocross.
Yep.
You have to know your equipment.
Right.
It has to become like a shoe, part of your body, an extension of you.
Sure.
But when I'm biking, I'm just thinking of what's on the trail, how's my body, what type of pain am I feeling, do I need to fuel, am I hydrated?
Right.
But every now and then, something just comes across my brainwaves.
And what would that be?
I was just thinking of, and I don't want to get into this. We could do 100 shows on this. I believe there should be less federal government. I think things should be left to the states.
And, I know you usually say,
but hold on.
We're not Democrats, we're not Republicans.
We're Americans.
But that is a Republican way of thinking.
Let me break it down even further.
Okay.
I think the states should leave the local communities alone, which they do in some regard.
For the most part.
I'm referring to townships, municipalities, which, the same thing as a township. Yep. So there's too much federal government and regulations. The state likes to put their hand in everything. And then you get down to the local level. I think that if you live in a community, and that community and the citizens that live in that community, they should be able to decide things on their own, which they are. Yeah. But even beyond the state control, there's still too much state control.
And I think I know where you're going with this.
No, I'm just going because I was thinking about that.
Well, and did this have anything to do with the Supreme Court decision from earlier this week? Did you hear about that?
Of course.
The gambling situation?
Absolutely.
That they're now going to open it up for
That's
the
why
states.
I was thinking about it.
They're going to open it up for the states to
No, it is
determine.
Open. No,
well, that ruling is...
It was a case out of New Jersey.
Right, and that ruling is now going to determine that states can determine if they want to let gambling on sports, both amateur and professional sports, betting on that happen. I guarantee you every state that has a casino or every state that runs a lottery will have sports betting by the time football season starts.
Wait, don't you understand how long sports betting's been going on, right?
Oh, sure, in places like Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
But Atlantic City, they wanted to do it more. And there's some sports betting. There's you can bet on horse races and things like that. But you can't walk down to you can't walk into a casino and say, "Hey, I want to bet on the Tigers and the and the."
You know what the problem is with if you break it down from the federal government to the state to the local level? There is so much infighting in these small communities across this country. You know, I crossed the state of Michigan this past summer, last year, you know, advocating for townships to opt in to the, you know, Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act and allow for dispensaries and processing facilities. And I would travel around, and you would have so much infighting from the board members, the elected board members, and then the citizens. So whatever is reflective at the national level and the state level is just a reflection of what goes on at every level. People cannot agree on anything.
No, that's true. It's kind of like people on the internet. A lot of people can hide behind anonymous names and do all kinds of stuff on the internet, but everyone believes that since they have an internet connection and they have fingers to type, that they have an opinion that everyone needs to know about. It's the same thing with local governments and stuff like that. Hey, I don't believe that everyone should have the right to do blank, so I'm going to stand up and I'm going to yell my opinion. Whether or not it's right or wrong, I'm going to yell it out. And then somebody's going to yell back at me, and next thing you know, there's a whole bunch of infighting. And that's exactly what happens. You think it's bad? You ever watch C-SPAN? You think it's bad on the national level? Go sit in a city council meeting or a drain commission meeting or something like that. It's the worst. Just the worst.
What does a drain commissioner do? Make sure the water flows downhill?
I don't know.
Think about it, because you always see vote for drain commissioner Craig Russell. But here's the thing. Water flow is very important because everything flows downhill. The streams, do you call it a creek or a creek?
My grandpa used to call it a crick.
Yeah, I call it a creek.
I call it a creek.
But everything flows downhill. You know that. The Great Lakes flow into Niagara Falls, which flow into the Atlantic.
Yep.
Most people don't think about
St.
that.
Lawrence Seaway.
So I think the drain commissioners are in charge of, remember when you were a kid, the little popsicle sticks you would put along the curb if you grew up where I grew up in the city? And when it would rain, you would put your little popsicle stick in and you would watch it flow downhill. Did you ever do that?
Never.
Didn't you grow up with curbs?
Yeah, but we never did that.
Come on.
I never did.
Did you ever bumper ski in the winter?
Well, now that I've heard of. Never heard of the stick thing. But
Yeah.
hey, speaking of drain commissioners, there's a drain commissioner not far from where we are in Michigan, in Gladwin, Michigan, being sued by the state government for, are you ready for this? $11 billion being sued by the Department of Environmental Quality for all kinds of horrible offenses to the water system in that part of the country. $11 billion.
Wait.
Think about that.
Well, first off, they're trying to prove a point.
Yeah. A big
And
one.
what's the problem?
Couldn't tell you. Didn't see that part of the story.
My buddy Malcolm Fox, who's just retired, he was the head of water for Isabella County.
Okay.
We should get Malcolm on the show.
He would probably know.
He
what
knows
that's
everything
all
about water.
Well,
He'll know that. He'll know about floating popsicle sticks down the sidewalks. How did you not know? How did you not know to float a popsicle stick down the sidewalk?
I just never heard
I bet
that
you Big
before.
Hair did.
Well, Big Hair knows a lot.
Yeah, Big Hair's coming on the show.
Is he?
Yeah, he's going to be on here soon.
All right, cool. I like
Oh,
it.
no, he's not coming on.
Oh, that's right.
Because the equipment's not.
Nah,
Oh, sorry, Big Hair.
Yeah,
not
well.
happening.
that's all right. You'll have to do your puppet mastering of him.
But
other
he.
places.
Oh, he biked 100 miles. He was going to talk about it.
Oh, he's
Craig,
Todd.
let's go to break.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Dr. Dre and Dr. Dre. Not the same person.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Craig Russell, this is the final segment.
Yes, it is.
What are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to tell you something about California, the state of California, which we have a lot of people who listen in California on the podcast.
Love our listeners in California on the podcast. Libsyn, Spotify.
They just did an audit of all the legal sales of marijuana in California for the first quarter. This is, of course, the first 3 or 4 months that they've actually been allowed to sell marijuana legally in California, recreational. And they collected nearly $60 million in taxes on that, which they think is low. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that they're not made nearly as much money?
I don't agree with the analysis.
Okay.
Where did you get your story from?
I got it from the AP, from the Associated
You
Press.
believe everything you read?
Sometimes when it comes to things like that.
I'm not. The AP is credible.
Okay.
I've always read the AP,
Sure.
The Wire,
Yeah.
years ago.
Right.
This just sounds too low.
It does sound low. Now, is it possible that not everybody who is owning marijuana in the state of California is buying it from an authorized, state-authorized marijuana dispensary or shop in California, that maybe they're buying it from, say, other not-so-credible sources, or they're growing their own, and since it's now recreationally legal, that they're not collecting nearly as much money off of it. I mean, $60 million off of something, that's $60 million new dollars they didn't have before. So it's not like they're losing money on the deal, and I'm sure as time goes on, it'll probably grow. They'll probably end up making more money off of it, but you never know. I think more people are probably buying from other people. Maybe, Guido down in the corner has got a dime bag or something.
I don't like when you use the term Guido.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm Italian.
How about Esmeralda down in the corner?
I'm just giving you crap.
I know you are.
Hey, by the way, Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
What is that story? I love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Okay. Dr.
Big
Dre.
fans of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. West Coast.
Dr. Dre's made more money off of selling headphones than he ever did selling music.
Apple bought his headphones.
Yeah,
Beats.
but even
Dre Beats, right?
Yeah, Beats by Dre. But even before then, he made way more money with the headphones thing. There's a gynecologist who is named Dr. Dre, and he spells his name D-R-A-I, and Dr. Dre sued him for a trademark dispute. Who do you think won?
Well, I know who won. I'm a lawyer. The doctor won.
Dr. Dre. Not Dr. Dre the rapper, but Dr. Dre. Yeah, he's like...
There's no confusion there,
not
though.
at all. Not
Dr.
even
Dre
close.
can still use the name Dr. Dre. It's confusion. It's the standard of confusion. What's the likelihood of confusion?
Somebody's going to walk into Dr. Dre, the OBGYN's office, wanting to see where Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg are hanging out.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
the
happen.
standard. Dave, we got to get Dave Cade on here. By the way.
No
we
kidding.
talked about him earlier.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's a patent trademark attorney, and he shreds the gnar all the time.
But Dr. Dre sued and lost, which is what you'd expect. That's what I would think would happen.
You're a DJ. Do you like Dr. Dre?
I like Dr. Dre. I'm not a big fan of his headphones. I think they're way too expensive. But I like Dr. Dre.
I love his headphones. I love Dr. Dre.
Which Dr. Dre?
I love both doctors, the OBGYN. Listen, I'm not an OBG, but if someone is pregnant, I've been there. Look, the epidural, take an epidural. The breathing doesn't. To all the women out there who are listening, just take the epidural. Do you agree? You've seen it.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that kind of pain, and I'm asking for everything, everything legal that an OBG can give me. If I'm a woman giving birth, give me epidural every half hour.
And maybe some things are not illegal too. Hey, I know
because you don't want the baby to come out with that. I know you're joking.
I'm kidding.
I thought of that too.
I'm kidding. Yeah,
I just want to
you
say,
thought of it. I said it.
I'm taking the epidural.
That's how
you
it
taking the
works.
epidural?
I'm taking.
Do you
the
agree
epidural.
the breathing techniques just
Oh,
don't
yeah, it's
work?
all a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, women out there,
Take the epidural.
listen, breathe how you want, push the baby out, take the epidural, and we all wish all the pregnant women out there, we hope you have healthy babies.
That's right. I know what you're going to be doing on July 14th. You're going to be shredding the gnar at the Michigan Mountain Bike Festival going on in Alpena.
My buddy Tommy Dowd.
Yeah, who owns Harborside Cycle and Sport in Alpena.
Great shop, by the way. Get out to Harborside in Alpena.
Yep, they're getting ready to do their very first Northeast Michigan Mountain Bike Festival. It's at Chippewa Hills on July 14th.
Pathway.
There's a website you can go to, and I'll give it to you very slowly. It's NEMMBF.com.
One more time.
NEMMBF.com to find out more. And so you can get registered, find out the schedule. It's going to be a really cool event and a really cool race. There's mountain bike races, and there's clinics. There's a women's only skill class and a whole lot more. A lot of fun. They're going to have beverages that are be able to get it by donation, but it's going to be a good time.
Tommy Dowd, he's a
You're
good
the
man. He's a good buddy of mine. He owns a great shop up there. Family-owned, cycle shop, bikes, all fat bikes, skateboards, outdoor activity equipment. He's a very qualified staff.
Right there on Thunder Bay.
Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
and he'll be on the show.
Yeah, it will be.
I ran into a deputy last week,
Okay.
and we had a conversation.
All right.
And he said something to me. We were having about career changes.
Okay.
And he came up with a quote. And I don't know if he came up with it, but he said this to me.
All
You
right.
ready for this?
Sure.
The pain of the same is greater than the pain of change.
Ooh, I
Meaning,
like
if you
that.
stay with your current situation and it's painful, you've thought about changing your lifestyle, your social setting, or just your
Career.
When we were
Sure.
talking about careers, he said, Todd, the pain of the same, meaning you're in pain because it's always the same,
Right.
is greater than the pain of the change. So
Yep.
what's the poison?
The changes.
Less pain.
Well, yeah, it might hurt a little bit at first, but that pain will subside. Whereas if you keep doing what you're doing right now, the pain stays the same. It gets worse.
There's no reason, well, there are a lot of reasons, but I always say there's no reason you can't take a look at your current situation and make it better
Agreed.
and make a change.
Yep.
Whether it's geographically, job, career, life is short. Relationships.
Everything.
Get
Yep.
outside and do something.
People have a hard time with change, and a lot of people get stuck in situations and they don't feel like there's any way out. And there's some people, it takes a strong person to say, you know what, I'm standing up and I'm making a change in my life and I'm going to do it, and that's all there is to it.
Here's what I would recommend people do. Now, it's not for everyone, but if you are healthy enough to do this and you have the right equipment, go on a solo camping trip, a rustic camping trip, way out in the backcountry. Go up to Canada, go to one of our parks, our state parks,
Go
our
to
federal
the
parks.
UP.
Go somewhere where there's no people and go out for 2 to 3 days on your own. Make sure you have a water purifier, you're hydrated, you have proper food so you can carb up, have some protein. You want to stay dry. You don't want to get wet. You want to stay, you want to have the right clothing.
Sure.
You don't want to overheat, right tent for storms. You will learn so much about yourself. You will have no choice but to reflect on your current situation, what you just been through, and what lies ahead. We go camping all the time, and it's life-changing. I'm telling you right now. I'm serious.
I know you
know
are.
I
No,
camp.
I know.
In fact,
you
I'm going
totally
to
are.
after we leave here. I'm going to Jay's.
Oh, okay.
I just bought a new Camelback.
Jay Sporting Goods.
Love Jay's Sporting Goods.
Claire and Gaylor.
Yep.
Can't beat it.
Yep. We have some great sponsors of this show, by the way.
That's right.
If one of our new sponsors is Mackinac Properties.
Oh, that's cool. That's right.
In
Yep.
St. Ignace, where I
Okay.
have an office.
All right.
Oh, yeah. So if you're someone out there and you live outside the state of Michigan, you're in Michigan, and you want a vacation home, or you want to purchase a home in the UP or below the bridge,
Or you just need a rental.
or a rental,
Yep.
check out Mackinac Properties online. Just go to MackinacProperties.com.
Great
Family
place.
owned. I mean,
Great place.
And St. Ignace is a beautiful town.
Yes, it is. The gateway to the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, it's just a great town. Great people, just great folks. I have an
Now-
office there. I just said that again.
Do you have a problem driving across the Mackinac Bridge?
I do.
Do you?
I do.
You know, there are a service you can do when if you call the Mackinac Bridge on your way up to the Mackinac Bridge, they will have somebody waiting there and they will escort you across. They will drive your car across.
I've had to be escorted before because I pull a camper.
Okay. But there'll be actually people who will get in your car and drive your car, drive you across. You can sit in the back seat in the fetal
Look,
position
that
all
would
you
make
want.
me even more nervous having somebody control my vehicle that I'm not in control of because I have to control everything. Here's the thing. When we were growing up, a Yugo went over the side of the
I
bridge.
remember. Yep, I
Every
remember
time,
that.
and may that lady rest in peace.
Yep, I remember that.
A Yugo, the car,
That was
went
a small
over the
car.
Mackinac Bridge.
That was a little car. I would not.
I
would
drive
not
a big
recommend-
truck. I'm in a big truck, but here's the thing. There's always some yo-yo who is just, excelling the speed limit on that bridge or just on my tail. I'm going a speed limit, if not slower. Plus, I want to see the beautiful Great Lakes.
I would not recommend driving one of those little smart cars across the Mackinac Bridge. That would probably be. That's
Do
probably
not
equivalent.
drive a smart
No,
car.
that wouldn't be good. But if for those of you who don't know, the Mackinac Bridge connects the lower and upper peninsulas of Michigan, and it is one of the natural wonders of the world. It is the largest suspension bridge in the Western Hemisphere. It is beautiful. It's been around for almost 60 years now, actually a little over 60 years. If you ever get an
You
opportunity,
can walk it.
You can walk it on
Once a year.
Labor Day.
Labor
yep.
Day.
If you ever get an opportunity, you should see it. It's just gorgeous.
They also have a truck show. I love 18-wheelers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love cabs. For
Yep.
some reason, if I wasn't a lawyer, I'd be like Biker Bob, one of my best friends. I'd be an over-the-road trucker. They have a show that comes right through the Upper Peninsula part of the bridge.
Yep.
Once a year. And these cabs are beautiful. These trucks are something else. People line up all over the place to see it. Do you know about it?
I do know about it. That and the big car show that they have
Do you
every year.
You want to go see the trucks this year?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we a law show?
We are.
But we're all over the place, and we are medicated.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's a law show that is just about done.
And I say take the epidural.
Show's over, Todd. We got to go.
Come on.
I know,
We're
it's
just
all
getting
done.
started.
Rock and roll says that's
hey,
all.
thanks for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, tell a friend about the show. We're trying to get to 1,000 downloads a week. So tell your friend about the show on Spotify, Libsyn, Android app, iTunes. It's free. And if you have a question, toddlevittlaw@gmail.com. Craig Russell, we have to go.
Time is up.
What do we say at the end every week?
Not just a litigator.
I'm an advocator. Take us out, Craig Russell, from the Morning Hustle. See you next week.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Mallywell Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, Mackinac Properties, and Northern Michigan Vacation Rentals, buying, selling, and renting properties in the Straits of Mackinac region since 1998. Harrison Power Sports, Central Michigan's fastest-growing full-line Arctic Cat dealer, and Dr. Robert Townsend and Denali Healthcare for your alternative healthcare needs.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.